What up, fam? So check it out, man. Twisted Ash put up a video today about why it is that Juggalos are who they are, why we're drawn to a subculture, why we become a group of people with the same mentality, I suppose. Not even really mentality, but just the same mindset, same way of thinking in a lot of ways. Something, puts us all together. And it's about subcultures and how they're formed and basically where it comes from. And it has, because, Twisted Ash knows that I took psychology in college, and all that good stuff. And, so I have that knowledge from that. Albeit it was almost 15, 20 years ago, but, the basis is still there. And the easiest way to explain this, why do subcultures form? Why do people come together? Why do Juggalos become Juggalos? And the easiest way to understand the concept is that when a subculture type of group like Juggalos forms, it's because larger culture in general fails to meet the needs of a particular person or a group of people. And in this case, it has to do a lot with, I guess, acceptance in a way. I know CPN a little while ago put up a video, and I don't agree with all of his views, but we get along because we do know that we don't always agree with each other. Where he talked about, it's people talk about they're Juggalos because it's a family and because of all that, and he did have a part of that right. It's if you're a Juggalo because it's a family thing, it's not something that you're really into. Because the family aspect of it is just another word for that group of people. And I have my own views on that because I am a Juggalo that does believe in Juggalo family. But I also, I don't consider each and every Juggalo out there a family member. I just don't. And that's just because, like Child's Play, like a lot of the older Juggalos, that's not where this came from originally. The family aspect of it deepened, and it has a lot to do, that part of it has a lot to do with where you came from in the first place. But in any aspect, what we're talking about in this case is the subculture, and why people seem to become, involved in that situation as far as the subculture is concerned. And like I said, the biggest thing is that culture, as far as society as a whole, doesn't fit the need, doesn't quite, you don't fit in, and your needs, your taste in music, the way you think, normal society doesn't fit you. So what happens is you become, you find people of a like mind, and this has happened, over and over and over again since the beginning of time. I mean, subcultures are nothing new. They've been around since people could think, and it's just a matter of, I wish there was a really easy way to explain. I guess subcultures try to compensate for the failure of a larger culture to provide us with status, acceptance, identity. And here's the thing. What Juggalos has got to do, and a lot of it, almost every subculture you find, has a lot to do with youth. Where you're in a period of your life where, and this doesn't apply for everyone, because as we know, there are people who realized they were Juggalos long after they were out of their teens, even some out of their 20s. But it's the larger culture just doesn't give you an adequate status for yourself, an acceptance, an idea of acceptance and an identity. And when you find people of a like mind, this gives you an identity. And that's where that comes from. It's the same here, perfect example. It's the same thing with gangs. Which is why there's that dichotomy between juggalos and gangs. You know, and the whole thing about the FBI calling us a gang. It's the same kind of concept overall. There's the acceptance, the ability for people to come together of a like mind. When it comes to gang activity, especially like violent gangs like Bloods and Crips and stuff like that, that has more to do, and that comes down to survival. That isn't so much a subculture as, and I shouldn't say that because there's a thing called the Subculture Theory, Subcultural Theory, I should say. If you get a chance, look it up, read into it. It's interesting. It's more about gangs, and it was a theory that was come up with by some doctors back in the I believe the early 20s and 30s. I could be wrong on that. But it talked about gangs and how people come together, and they use the word subcultural theory. So it's when a group of people, be it juggalos, a gang, hippies, I mean even as far as and this is a touchy subject, but even as far as Nazis during World War, during that time period of World War II, it's still of a like mind. They all got together and said, "Hey, we all feel the same way." And there's always a person at the top, or people at the top, that show the other people the like-mindedness. They get their attention, and there's always a subculture icon, I guess, is the easiest way to put it. Not so much a leader, but something at the top of that subculture that is, since I'm part of this is what I epitomize. This is where the way I look at it. And like for Juggalos, it's psychopathic records, it's underground music, it's all kinds of different things. It's not just ICP. And I think a lot of people, get that twisted. Another thing that people don't seem to quite understand is that it's normal for subcultures to form, especially when it comes to young people. It's actually a part of the psychological process of growing up. As far as juggalos are concerned, you'll notice that most people that get involved at first are very young. They see it as something they like. It's all of a sudden clicks. Oh, that's me. Now, is everyone like that? No, there are a lot of juggalos that unfortunately get involved because they think it's cool, or they think it's something that they can say they're a part of, even if they don't understand it, and other people go, "Oh, okay, that's cool." No, it's not cool. There's so much more to it. But in essence, the reason, and it, like I said at the beginning of this, it's not just juggalos. It's any culture of people that come together. I studied a little bit of anthropology, and I know there's a lot more in-depth analysis of the way it works, but it all has to do with like-mindedness. It has to do with acceptance. It has to do with forming an identity. It has to do with a status situation. We come together as a group because in that group of people, we feel complete, we feel whole, we feel safe. Those things that are important to us. I think one big thing that people kind of miss sometimes is that, you know, with Juggalos, it goes past that. You know, there used to be this thing out on the internet called the 5 stages of being a Juggalo, and some of it rings very true. You know, you had your clown boy phase, you had your this phase and that phase, and it all talked about how at first you very first hear the music and you love it and you think it's great and you're into it, but you don't really understand it, and then you start to understand it, and then you get to a point where psychopathic is all you listen to, and all of a sudden you start to see things that are cracks in the wall. You walk up to Violent J at the gathering and he doesn't say shit to you when you say, "What's up, homie?" You know, whoop whoop, and he doesn't say anything back. You see Shaggy somewhere and he's a dick. You know, and all of a sudden you're disillusioned. I think the biggest disillusionment comes is when people realize that overall psychopathic is a business, and they're in this to pay their bills. They're in this to make money. Do they do it for us because of the love they have for the people around them? Absolutely. But don't ever get it twisted and think that it's not a business, that it's not about paying the bills, that it's not about putting food on their plate. They just happen to get lucky enough to do something they love to do so. And they create something that we enjoy. And therein, you know, that's where the subculture part of it comes. All of that together, you know, with that specific totem that we all look at and say, this is what we have in common. There's a lot more to it. This is just a very basic kind of an overview of why it's, you know, what a subculture really is, why it forms. I mean, if I went into detail, it would be an hour-long conversation, and I'm tired. I don't do well with talking that long, and I sure as fuck know you guys don't want to sit and listen to me ramble on for a fucking hour. But in essence, you know, subcultures are part of society. It's something that has to happen, because there has to be, as a human being, we crave acceptance. We crave identity. We want to be someone, and we want a status of some type, you know. Perfect example. Go research it a little bit. Look it up. The caste system in India. You got the people who are untouchables. You got this caste, that caste. It's the same type of a situation where it's a subculture each time, but it's one that was created from like-mindedness at the top and then going down and putting people in a certain group. So it's subcultures that other people put people in instead of the other way around. So that's a very a good way to look into it is to go look at the caste system in India and the way that works, and you'll understand a little bit more about why there are subcultures. I don't know. I hope that maybe that shines a little light on it. You know, like I said, I ramble. I'm doing most of this from memory from the things I read in college. So hopefully it made sense. Any questions, man, definitely don't hesitate. Hit me up. Leave a video response. I'll be more than happy to try and answer it. Peace. Much family love.